My name is Will Kenning, and this is Real Opinions. Hi, my name is Will Kenning. I'm a writer, director, editor, actor, and producer. All the hats, I'm sure, like many of your clients. And I'm based in Leighton Buzzard.
How did you end up doing what you do?
I started out as an actor and acted, and I still act, just a bit less because my kids are a bit older now, so it's a bit hard to go away on tour for £300 a week. And I remember there was a point where I got really fed up of doing the in-between jobs, selling perfume, answering phones, all that rubbish. And I was literally selling perfume like a classic out-of-work actor in Heathrow. And I was just so fed up of it. And I was in front of this big bank of commercials that was just playing on repeat over and over again on all the tellies. I was like, I could do that. And so I was like, well, it would definitely beat selling perfume. So I took a loan out and bought my first DSLR and just started. I didn't go to film school or anything. I just started making stuff, and instantly it was better than selling perfume. And it kind of started from there, really. And then it took me a while to sort of, it took me about 5, 6, 7 years before I became proficient enough to actually try a short film. And then I'm on short film, I think number 5 or 6 now.
Great. And how long have you been active in the industry, kind of including all of those different roles that you were doing?
So I started out, like I say, as a self-shooter, and then out of necessity became a writer and have been training myself how to do that, but I say for the last 3 years. So I've been active in the industry as an actor since 2003 when I graduated from drama school, and still am. And then maybe the self-shooting bit came first, then the writing, then the directing, and then the producing, as you suddenly realize that, and then the editing. Everything basically just like requires another skill in order to do it. So I'm currently at the stage where I'm desperately trying to make my first feature happen. And of course, to make a feature happen, I feel like I have to have written it. So I knew that was going to be the case about 3 or 4 years ago. So that's when I started my screenwriting journey. And that's a convoluted answer to that question. I hope it made sense.
It did. I think because when you wear more than one hat, that kind of that response to the longevity of something is always quite hard, because if you're constantly morphing and picking up new hats along the way, it all kind of blurs into one.
Yeah, it's not like there was a course, and you leave the course and get a job, and then you have been an director for such and such amount of time. The path is pretty blurry.
What's the best piece of advice you've been given?
I think the best piece of advice wasn't given to me directly, because I've never met Neil Gaiman, but it's a Neil Gaiman piece of advice, which is just head towards the mountain. So don't worry too much about the specific, how specific the path is, because you won't know. There's a bit that ties into what I've just been saying, really. Just go in the right direction, head towards the mountain, and there are a million different paths to the top. But as long as you're going in the right direction, then you'll get there. And so sometimes you get given for example, I might get given a choice like, would you like to make a furniture video for lots of money, or make a feature film for, and do something towards that way? And you go, well, that's probably the wrong way, going that furniture video way, even though sometimes you've got to do stuff for money. So I think that's the best piece of advice.
And on the flip side, what's the worst piece of advice you've been told?
Why don't you look inside and see if there are any more bees in it?
Great. Is there a place or a location that you've always wanted to make a film?
Yeah, well, yes. I mean, it's I'm currently writing it, or have written it and now redrafting it. But Matlock Bath, where I'm from, I think is the most extraordinary filmic place. It's basically a seaside town without a sea. So it's on the banks of the River Derwent. It's like fish and chip shops, arcades, in the middle of landlocked Derbyshire, and in a sort of beautiful valley. It's a bit like the Welsh sex education setting, but it's really quirky. Loads of bikers go there, and big hard rock community. It's very filmic.
Do they sell rock like a seaside town?
Yeah, I think they do. Yeah, it's really weird. It's basically because the Victorians discovered some hot springs there, and so it became like like a tourist resort.
What other role in the industry do you have utmost respect for?
Let's go with first AD, because it really is such a pivotal role that requires a lot of 360 thinking. You've got to tread the line very carefully to not be a dick, and also so command respect, but also be approachable and likable. And I think that's a really difficult tightrope to tread without being too draconian and getting all that stuff done.
We have one of the other interviews that we've done. One of our clients who's just stepped into directing. Her background is as a first AD,
right?
And she was saying about that kind of that delicate balance of working with somebody so it works, or getting the job done, and also as you go down the pecking order, like second AD, third AD, and so on, like having that kind of collaboration, but getting it over the line.
I know, yeah, exactly. I think just keeping a happy ship is such an important element of any set, because at the end of the day, everyone's just got to remember that it's fun. We're doing it because we want to be there.
Tell us about one of your favorite festival experiences.
It's I think it's pretty classic, but SCAD was incredible, just because they look after you very well. We were very lucky to go there, and also it just felt like it was so current, in as much as our film was standing alongside all of those Oscar winners of that year. So I remember being in the theatre they have a big cinema, which is the main screening venue, and each night they would show all the nominated films. And so I saw all the films that year: The Favourite, Green Book, just I'm trying to remember the Barry Jenkins, if Beale Street Could Talk. And it felt really special to be seeing them. And then afterwards, we would get a talk from Barry Jenkins, or whoever was, or the creator of Green Book. And it felt really special to be in the heart. At the moment, it just felt like at that particular time, the film world's focus was on SCAD. And I hadn't come across my radar, really. I mean, no one, it's not famous in the same way as some other festivals are, but right then it felt like, wow, we're here. This is where it's going on, and we're a tiny, tiny piece of it. It was very cool.
It's one that we wanted to try and attend, but the dates are it's that busy time of year. And we were, during the pandemic, we had flights booked to go to Oxford Film Festival in Mississippi. And because of the pandemic, we kind of we had to rebook the flight, but to the same end donation, which was the end destination, which was Atlanta. So we were like, well, let's go to SCAD because we've always wanted to go, and Oxford isn't going ahead. And then of course the pandemic was still happening, so that was the closest we got.
Closest you got, but you've not been yet.
Not yet, no.
It's great. Also, I love Georgia. I love Georgia. It was really interesting to see the town, and the streets are so wide and beautiful. It's very classic.
What did you wish you knew when you were younger?
Again, it's not my words. This is Mark Duplass's lecture. The Cavalry Is Not Coming. I'm sure most people have seen that one by now, but if you haven't, look it up. It's brilliant. Just the very wise adage that no one is going to do anything for you, even if you think you make it, whether you're at your first, second, third, or fourth feature level. You just got to keep grafting, and it's rather depressing to learn that. But the sooner you learn it, the better, I think, because yeah, it's true.
What do you want people to feel like after they've watched your work?
Well, obviously, I think most people would want roughly the same thing, but I'd love people to feel, firstly, like they've had great fun. I think that's a really big part of me and my voice. I think fun is a big part. I'm not wanting to change the world, but I want people to be moved as well. I understand now that there's even the best comedy, and I think that's where I sit most of the time, is in the comic space. But even the best comedy has the most power when it's aligned with feeling something. So smuggling in that, smuggling in the good stuff, the emotional connection, the messages within a comedy landscape. So I think if people felt like they'd had a great time, elated, moved, but ultimately, like, that was a good 90 minutes well spent.
I'm so intrigued by your feature.
Well, love to send it to you. You have to
please
see
do.
what you think.
How would you describe yourself to a stranger who you met on a park bench?
So the stranger can see you, right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have to say I'm tall, because I'm very tall for anyone watching this, even though sitting down. So because I'm 6'6". How would I describe myself? So I would say a creative visual thinker who's not whose primary concern is making other people laugh and feel good about themselves. Would like to be more political, but probably isn't naturally. Who's a genuine optimist, but could do with taking some of his own advice.
Very honest.
Who's also awesome.
What's your drink of choice when working on set?
Coffee.
And how do you take your coffee?
Or just white coffee.
Yeah.
Can't be doing with all the, other things. Yeah, to be honest, it's just very lucky to be getting anything hot on set. So, whatever.
What makes you want to see a film?
A brilliant poster, because that will be the first piece of information I get. And also, like I said, I'm a visual thinker, and a really crunchy concept. So, if something like The Purge, you just go, one day when you can kill people. Like, it's just the simple crunchy concept, good poster. I'm just like everybody else. There's no time to receive very much more than that. So stuff that just hooks you.
Do you watch your own work when it's being screened?
Well, yes, because I'm not at a level where like some kind of Christmas single, I'm being forced to watch it over and over again. I wish that was the case. But so normally when I'm at a screening, it's pretty exciting because, for example, my last short film has only been screened in a cinema a few times because of COVID. And so, of course, I was desperate to watch it in a cinema with people. And that's actually one of the most exciting bits, even though it makes you feel physically ill. Just gauging the audience reaction, that's massively, it's rewarding, but also really valuable and informative. Because if you're understanding where things land, especially comedy, because you might be completely different to what you thought.
If you were not working in film, what would you be doing instead?
I'd like to be a cartoonist, and I have done a lot of cartoons in the past, but I think joke writing, visual, again, funny pictures, just different types of funny pictures.
Did you collect anything, or do you collect anything?
I collected badges as a kid. I had a lot of badges and a lot of stickers. My bedroom door was covered in garbage pail kids, if anyone remembers those. And when I go back home and see this door, it's quite horrendous. These things were appalling, like Headless Harry and Shaven Raven, like just these babies like cutting themselves with razors and
They're
things.
quite creepy.
They're very creepy. They were like a sort of a pastiche on Cabbage Patch Kids.
Yeah.
That they massively appeal to my sick 10-year-old sense of humor.
If film had a spirit animal, what would it be?
My film or any film?
If any film, like if film in general.
I guess it would be a butterfly, because it would be loads of different colours of whichever colour film it was. Plus it's very temporary as a feeling or as the thing that it gives you, but it could be very permanent as a striking image. And it's magic. So a bit like butterflies, it's like catching a dream or something like that. So I'll go butterfly.